Hey Roisin O, it's so exciting to have you as my first interview for my Artist of the Week section on RedFM. How are you doing?
I'm great, Stephanie. I have to say, I'm absolutely honored to be your first guest. This is amazing. Huge congrats to you. It's so exciting.
Yeah, do you know what? It's something different. I like it. I'm enjoying
love it.
And yeah, it's just cool to kind of connect, I guess, with some Irish artists because, like, I'm always saying on the show, there's so much Irish talent out there, and
Exactly.
just love playing a few tunes on the radio. So I'm going to get straight into it. You have a new track out. It's called Stolen, and it's really beautiful. I'm a
Thank you
huge
so
fan
much.
of it. You had a mega release day, but I suppose listening to it, you can definitely tell that it's a very personal kind of track. And I was just wondering if you could just kind of give us a little bit of background to what the song is about.
Yeah, getting straight to the point there, Stephanie. I like it. Well, I suppose if any of my fans or people have heard my last single, Heart and Bones, which was sort of a song about admitting to yourself that you're still heartbroken over someone years later, you know, and this song is sort of a carry on from that story of what happens next, basically. So in Stolen, I sort of I basically meet the person I'm talking about in Heart and Bones. I meet him on the street. He's an ex from a long time ago, and we get talking. And it's sort of, you hear the song is a sort of a conversation between two people. Some of it is the things I want to say, and some of it by the end of the songs are the things that I actually tell him in the end. And I sort of tell him that the songs are all about him, basically. Very like dramatic. It's like a telenovela or something, you know.
But it's great though, because, you know, I think that, like, I mean, look, any kind of love song, I think, like, obviously the masses can really, like, relate to that, but I think there's something really lovely about Stolen in that it captures that, like, little moment of, like, it's like a little stutter, you know, like, it's like that moment that kind of catches you off guard where you're like, oh my God. And then, like, you're left kind of wondering why am I thinking that in that moment, you know? I think you captured that really well. And, you know, it's a different angle on a love song, which I thought was really good. And like you said, it's very conversational. It's kind of like a little, you know, a conversation in the song. It's amazing. So obviously no secrets there. So I did that straight, and I was like, I want to know what it's about. Heart and Bones is another track that I absolutely loved from last year. It was gorgeous. Do you know what I mean? So I love knowing that, like, seeing the thread of songs that kind of come from one to the other and that they're still kind of in the same vein. It's really cool. So, like, obviously, I was reading that you wrote this with Gavin James.
Yeah.
A good buddy of yours. And that you kind of, we were chatting a second ago, you're saying you kind of rounded it off just before you went into the studio with your brother Danny.
Yeah.
And I suppose with a song like that, you know, that's so personal, like, how important was it for you, like, in the writing process to kind of, to write it with people that you were super comfortable with or that you know quite well?
Oh, definitely important. I suppose, like, I've known Gav for a long time, and going into his house, we did this, like, one of the first lockdowns. We started this song, and it was so funny. We started writing the song, and we were about half an hour in or an hour in, and he's like, Roche, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop you. I actually wrote this song with Jay from Codaline last week. And I was, what? He's like, yeah, it's just too similar. We're gonna have to change. So luckily we did, because we stopped and we started writing Stolen, and it was just a better song off the bat. So and you know, Gav, he's such an amazing songwriter. He just sits down at the piano and it just pours out of him. And that, for me, it really bounced off me. You know, you can hear his high falsetto, that signature Gavin James high falsetto at the start of the song, to you, all those notes. And he started it off, and I sort of ran with it. I think he had that line, it's for you, it's a love song for nobody. And then we just changed it. He brought around, I think he said the word stolen at one point. And when I'm the type of person that when I get a prompt, I'm really good to run with it, you know? And I was like, yes, I can do that. And I suppose I sort of went on with a lot of the rest of the lyrics. We did a bit of it together, and we had the basic form of a verse, chorus, and that outro section, which is like a whole, we call it the Bruce Springsteen section at the end, you know. And we had those core parts and a rough guide of it. I really wanted to finish it, but then we were in lockdown again, and I really wanted it to be on this album. So I was down in Dingle with my brother Danny, and Gav obviously couldn't get down because of COVID, but Danny was there, and as you said, like Danny knows Danny's one of my best mates, you know, and he knows all the things behind the songs, really. So it was very easy to be able to tell him, well, this is what I'm trying to say, and this is the vibe I want, and to not feel like I had to be guarded with him. So definitely it was great that I could get to finish it with him, and he knew the story behind the song, so could, you know, help out on that end as well. But yeah, it's obviously very personal, and I like to be very involved in the lyrics that I'm, if not completely involved in the lyrics that I'm writing, you know. So yeah, it was great to do it, and just both working with both of them, like Danny, obviously an amazing songwriter as well, and being so at ease with him, it was just easy to finish it with him. Yeah, because
it doesn't always happen that way, you know, when you're writing songs. Sometimes you can end up, you know, going into rooms and it's, you know, you feel all of a sudden like you're like, how am I supposed to tell this person that I don't really know? Like, you know, you might have something in the back of your mind that you want to write, and you sometimes you just can't go to certain places with certain people, you know what I mean? And well, like it's really interesting that obviously Danny being your brother, he probably knows like the ins and outs of things that you've gone through, whatever, and just to be able to kind of tap into that really creates like an honest moment, you know?
Totally, yeah.
I suppose, like, you know, I've met you loads of times throughout the years. I've met Danny loads of times throughout the years. You're just like such nice, warm, friendly people. You know?
Thanks.
And it's something I wanted to ask you about because, you know, obviously you come from a very musical background, you know, and I think that's kind of a unique thing, really, for an Irish artist, that you would have such an iconic music family, you know. And I'm sure you get asked about it all the time. And you know, I suppose part of me wants to know whether that kind of annoys you or not, but what I really wanted to know is kind of, was it growing up in that environment of seeing like your mom, who's obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, your mom is Mary Black and she's like absolute Irish icon, and your brother, as we were saying, is Danny from the Coronas. Like, was it seeing that musical background that kind of made you want to do it?
Yeah, I suppose I'll answer your first question first about does it annoy me? You know, there was a part of my life where I think more when I was starting out that it really did annoy me, and I'd have an ongoing joke with my band, like, how many questions am I going to get into this interview without being asked about my mom? But at the same time, I don't know, the older I get, like the more I've become a fan of hers, and not just her daughter, you know, and seeing the effect she's had on our country as an absolute icon, you know, and seeing her work abroad and being a household name with your friends is something that I'm so proud of, to be honest. I think the older I get, the more I appreciate it, and I understand like people want to ask me these questions because it is interesting. And this is normality for me, my mother being Mary Black, but for everyone else, that's like, wow, we want to talk about that because it is interesting, and I love how so many people are touched by her music, because she is literally a living legend. And I can say that because I'm her daughter. But I suppose, what was the next question? And growing up, as I said, like, I do think, and I think we've talked about this, Stephanie, like with being an Irish Women in Harmony, and how it is tougher for women to get into this industry. But for me, I never felt that it was tough, and I think it was because my mother was in it already. And we talk about why women don't get into certain industries, and it's because they don't see their peers in those industries. But for me, growing up, I saw my mother on stage telling a band of unbelievable men what to do constantly, and her being the boss. And when I had that growing up, and that was always within my reach because my mother did it and my auntie did it, and it was never a thing that I couldn't do. And I think that was definitely an influence on me. If my mother wasn't a singer, would I have gotten into it as confidently as I did, with as much, yes, I can do this, whether I'm a woman or not. So I think that definitely, and it influenced Danny as well, just to know, like, also having both our parents are involved in the music industry, and having them both be so supportive. I think for a lot of parents, it can be quite daunting to see their child try and go into the music industry, because they know how tough it is, and it's not this real job, inverted commas, you know. And obviously our parents, they knew firsthand how tough it was, but I think they believed in us, and they thought we had the talent, but they also gave us this, we always had to have a fallback. Both me and Danny went to college, even though we didn't want to, you know, and we studied stuff we didn't really care about, you know, but to have that fallback just in case because they always told us, you know, no matter how talented you are, it doesn't really matter. A lot of it is to do with your lucky break. And it's that 50-50 of both those things, really. So, I think we were definitely lucky in that we wanted to be musicians, and we had our parents as parents. It was definitely an invaluable thing to have growing up. Yeah.
And did you, like, I suppose then, like, following on from that, like, do you think, did you feel, because obviously, I mean, I think anybody who becomes an artist, like, obviously you're super exposed immediately because you're trying to do something, and it's, you know, it's not always comfortable, the things that you have to do when you're a musician or when you're in the public eye, you know, videos, like songs. And I suppose then you would have had the, like, extra element of being kind of in a lineage of people. And I'm wondering, did you feel like an added pressure from that like there's so much pressure involved in it already, and did you feel any added pressure, I guess, from kind of coming from the background you did?
To be honest, no. I don't think I felt an added pressure. I say this with a half smile now, that my mom always tells me that I'm a better singer than her. You know,
Aww,
so
cute.
I'm like, are you just saying that now, Ma? But she told me that all the time. So I suppose part of me never felt growing up that I wasn't as good as her, or you know. And I think because I'm a female singer, it's a slightly different thing to Danny, you know, and we're in slightly different genres, and so it's not like we're against each other. So that pressure you're talking about, no, I have to say, I don't think I did feel that pressure. And they were always just it's always just such a supportive environment. And if anything, I had this extra support because of who they were. I could bring my songs to them, and I knew that they would be honest and knew what they were talking about when they told me if they liked them or not. And same with my performances or my live shows, and same with advice that I might have about the industry. You know, I have these people who are constantly in my corner and love me no matter what. And I can always trust that advice. So I think it was definitely a help. I don't think I felt the pressure, really, no.
That's cool. I think it's, you know, obviously from seeing you guys throughout the years, like, I love the fact that you do so much stuff together. You know what I mean? That you guys, you always see you and Danny doing stuff together, seeing you do stuff with your mom. And like, even just the other day, we were kind of doing a studio build, and one of the guys that was helping us out with it was like, I don't know how you came up, but I think Gary might have mentioned that I was doing something today, and he was like, I saw her with her mom playing a couple of years ago. She was brilliant, you know? And it's like, it's crazy to see, like, you know, the way people discover, obviously, music, and, you know, having those kind of, like, connections is really, really cool. But, like, I suppose then moving back to kind of just what you've been up to for, like, the last year, because I feel like last year was a huge year for you, like, and which is crazy because it was like a COVID lockdown year. So you released a ton of music, and it was all really, really great. Like, it felt like really kind of fresh, kind of Roisin O coming out. So I suppose from last year, what do you think was the highlight for you? And then, like, how did it feel then trying to achieve it all in a kind of a COVID world? Because that is just a nightmare, I know myself. Yeah,
I'd say releasing Heart and Bones, because it was the first single I had released as a solo act since 2015 or 16. You know, I had started Thanks Brother then. We started that in about 2017, and we'd been working on that hard enough, and that sort of came to an end naturally. And I was thinking, I met Adele, my now manager at the time. She was sort of a friend in the industry who I went to advice for, and I remember saying to her, just think maybe I should start a new band. Like, I don't know about going back to Roisin O. Like, are people just bored of it? Like, and she's like, Roisin, what are you talking about? I think around that time I had released like thrown up a cover online, and it had gotten huge traction. And she's like, Roisin, people want to hear you. They want to hear your music. And I think I just needed someone to tell me that, you know, as confident as I am in myself, it's a hard industry to navigate sometimes. And I with her, sort of, she became a manager then, and with her by my side, I had written Heart and Bones. And when I released that, it was really a change in the way I wrote as well. When I wrote Heart and Bones, it's like absolute heart on your sleeve. I'm dying, crying on the floor right now is nearly one of the lyrics. Like, you know, and before that I had always been like, I have to put in a metaphor here. I don't want people to know what I'm talking about. But I was keeping things at like a little bit of a safe distance, and like, you felt like you kind of threw yourself into this. I completely, I went the other way. Everyone who knew me knew what that song was about in my life, you know. And I think people really connected with that. And I released it, and I don't think I'd ever got such a huge response from people, like people DMing me. I got some of the most beautiful DMs from people who've been going through really hard things in their life. And even if it was completely different to what I was going through, that song, they said that song made me feel like it was written for me. And seeing it get New Music Friday and #1 on iTunes and all these playlists and playlisted on radio and doing quite well at radio, and just seeing the resurgence of fans tell me, oh my God, I missed Roisin O so much. That was, that has to be definitely my highlight of the last year. And it has just grown from then. Like it's been amazing, you know.
It's been massive. And I think, you know, it's really interesting that you say about like the kind of change in approach. Like I've seen it from my own stuff, like the things that you are the most honest about, like I think people can always, and I can tell it even from when I put out songs, right? If I know that the song is kind of like just a fun song that I like it's one thing. And if I've kind of gone to like 80% of like bearing my absolute soul, but when you go full tilt, people feel it. They really do feel it, and they engage with it in a completely different way. Do you know what I mean? And I think
totally.
Once you have that moment, so obviously like Heart and Bones was that for you. So like that moment of like, I'm going to bear all, and probably we're feeling a little bit nervous probably about putting that out.
Yeah.
Then once you kind of see what that does, I think it just really ignites your passion for doing that from then on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's really cool. Okay, so I suppose I've only got a couple more questions for you. One is kind of more existential, so prepare yourself for that. I'm wondering, like, because I try and think about this about myself all the time, and it's interesting just asking you that last question to see what you say here. Like, I'm wondering what you think, like, the essence of Roisin O is as an artist. Like, so if somebody doesn't know you and they come to listen to your music, like, what do you want them to get from it, or what do you think that they'll take away from it?
I definitely want them to be moved. That's my main goal, and I think that I would hope what I'm trying to do is to move them with my voice and with my lyrics. And I hope that's what they take away from it. Like last night I did a acoustic set in the Ruby sessions. I hadn't done it in so long, and there was a lot of foreigners in the crowd, you know, and I could just hear people's reaction. And when you hadn't played live in so long, like I was like, this is what I miss, hearing people go, oh God, at the end of a song, you know, at the end of Stolen or Heart and Bones, and it's just me and my voice and the piano. And then when it's stripped back to everything, as much as I love the production, I love doing full band. If you take away everything, I suppose the essence of me is my voice, and hopefully a lyric or a moment in a song that moves you.
Well, I think you're definitely achieving that. You're smashing it, like, so.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, so you have a tour coming up in April. You got a date in Cork.
I do.
So that's on April 22nd, and I think it's in the pub. And I think is there still tickets available for that?
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah, there should be a few left online, whether it's Ticketmaster or at the pub, or go onto my Instagram. All the links are in my bio either.
Perfect. I suppose, how do you feel about getting back to live shows after like the absolute utter hell that was COVID the last couple of years?
Oh, I can't wait. I really can't wait. Like, especially my own headline tour, you know, this is like, I feel like I did a little one in the middle of the lockdowns, but this is proper 8 dates around Ireland, my own band with all these new songs. Like, I'm nervous. I'm actually for the first time in a while, I've been really nervous. I know how great this show can be, and I just can't wait to, like, I'm so in the midst of putting out this album right now. I'm getting the album finished, and the second this is finished, which should be next week, hopefully onto print, I'll be in then with in studio with the band, like making this my best live show ever. Yeah,
amazing.
So I can't wait.
That's so exciting. Well, I think honestly you're going to have an amazing year. Like just coming out of last year, I think it's just going to be just unbelievable, and I can't wait to hear the album. Before I let you go, I've got some like get to know you questions. They're rapid fire. Okay.
Ooh, I love it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Strap in. They're actually not that hard.
Okay.
Okay. House party or pub?
House party.
Same. Pub or club?
Pub.
What do you think about that? I hate clubs. I think I'm like overwhelmed by the noise. Pub. Good answer. Favorite song to play live?
Call It Love.
Favorite dinner?
Mary Black's chicken parmesan.
Ooh, good choice. That's solid. Favorite Gavin James song since you wrote the track with him?
Oh, that has to be Always.
Always.
Definitely, yeah.
Favorite Corona song?
So many. Favorite Heroes or Ghosts?
Oh, nice. Yeah. A classic, an absolute staple.
Classic.
Red or white wine?
Red.
Good. Dogs or cats?
Oh, I love both, but dogs.
Strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Octopus in like wriggly octopus in Japan once.
Nice. That was good.
Sort of.
Was it good?
No. No,
text or talk?
Text.
Same. What would your superpower be if it could be anything?
I'd like to fly, I think. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Solid. Chocolate or crisps?
Oh, chocolate.
Good. Last Google search?
Do you want me to check? You know what? It was probably a radio monitor to see how the single is doing.
That's the top of mine as well.
Yeah.
I was telling people because obviously I was having a baby. I had a baby last year. And
oh my God! Yes, of course. Huge congrats.
Thank you so much. But I was saying to people that if people in that entire 9-month period, if they had looked at my my Google search history, it is like the web of a mad person. The things I was Googling. So I'm like, I've got to bury that deep down. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Who would play you in a movie?
Oh. Maybe Sharon Stone.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Someone told me I looked like her when I was younger, and I've held on to that for the rest of my
We'll have to young her up though. We'll have to
you young us both up. That'll be good. Yeah.
All right. Last question before I let you go is what would you be if you weren't a musician?
Probably a teacher.
Same.
I
think most musicians I talk to are like a teacher.
Yeah, I love young people, especially like secondary school age. I would definitely see myself as a music teacher, an art teacher or something. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, listen, Roisin, it was so nice to talk to you, and like good luck with the track. I can't wait to play it, and I'll be looking forward to it. I'm going to try and get into your gig on April 22nd. I'm actually at the same time, but I'm hoping that I can just nip in and catch some of the show.
That'd be mega.
But I have no doubt that you're going to have a massive 2022. So
thank you so much, Stephanie. Thanks so much for having me on. So good to chat to you, my fellow Irish woman in harmony.
Oh, yeah. Representing.